Take it easy and solve the school lunch problem with SPAM. S-P-A-M.
こんにちは、タイガークローラジオ。You are listening now. Back J.
You are listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Number one in vintage computer and video game entertainment. And now your host, Critical Failure.
Good evening, everybody. You're listening to Tiger Claw Radio, episode 201. Check us out at tigerclawtv.com, thenextround.net. We've also got a Podomatic account. You can come over, get yourself a copy of the MP3, leave a comment, interact with the show. This week, we've got the official Tiger Claw Radio Doom WOD is now officially underway. Also, my first taste of Famicom games. The Famiclone arrives. Good stuff. This is from Null Sleep. This track is called Ballistic Picnic. It's from a very old release over at 8bitpeoples.com. The album was called Electric Heart Strike. Man, old stuff. This is like one of the first chiptune albums I went out and found on my own and downloaded. And I know I've played some of the tracks from it on the show before, but it's good. It's an old favorite for a reason, and I think you'll like this one. So you. Stick with me, you're listening to Tiger Claw Radio. No Sleep, Electric Heart Strike's the name of the album. Head over to 8-Bit Peoples and get yourself a copy. Really do that if you have any interest in chiptunes, because that to me is like one of those classic releases, like one of those must-have essentials that my interest in the genre was really built on. Not quite as mainstream as Anna Managuchi, which was also one of the groups I found out about right at that time, but it was something I really built a lot of memories on. So good stuff. All right, so we have a single serving of Vancast this week, but it was a pretty strong one, if I may be so bold. So since we just have the one, before we jump in, I want to take a second to tip my hat to our supporters over on Patreon. Our Patreon users help this show come back week in and week out through great adversity. This is the middle of September. It's an incredibly busy time for me at work. But out of gratitude for these gentlemen, I am pulling it together and making it happen. One of the things I like to do is to I give these guys a copy of the MP3 a couple nights early, if I can, and I like to mention them on the air. So they're Hemrock, James, Sendu, Tecmo Balls, Darabka, Six Health of Fury, and the Cartridge Brothers. Thank you guys so very much for your support, and I hope you're enjoying Tiger Claw Radio. All right, so that's enough of the radio BS. Let's head over to the Vancast. This is the portion of the show that really holds. I would say this is where all the humanity is. This is where I have time to really stop and think about what's happening. And this is one. This particular Vancast, it took me like 4 tries to get it down. It really did. I don't know what happened, but I had a really hard time this week. So I was pleased with the final product. It was recorded this morning. It's 8:38 right now. It was recorded at just about 6:30 this morning. A little bit before 6:30. So here we go. This is Tiger Claw Radio. Good morning. Early Friday morning. It's time for some emergency vancasting to make sure I get something out this week. I think this is the first time I've started this approaching my vehicle. Just a second here. Ah, yes. Get fully immersed, son. What a weekend it's gonna be. Looking forward to it, guys. 2 big things have happened this week. 2 big things that I've been talking about making happen, but haven't really done. Haven't really been able to do. Well, now they're happening. Before we get to that, it's the Bandai Namco sale over on the Steams, on the Steam-a-Marines. What does that mean for you? Well, that would include Tekken 7. If you don't own Tekken 7 on Steam and you're thinking about getting it, it has now dropped to an obtainable price at $30. For the Steam rental license. Now I'm more interested in the Pac-Man games that come along with the Bandai Namco sale. Pac-Man 256 is a game I've had for a while. It's a little kind of mobile-esque sort of Pac-Man game, but it's fun. That got me to look at the other Pac-Man games, because there are several. There's like a Pac-Man Museum, then there's a Pac-Man Championship Edition, and then they released like the straight up MAME games on Steam. Those are 99 cents a piece. I think I might get some of those. Oddly enough, the MAME games, that's what I'm calling them. They're just like the arcade games. It's like 99 cents and you get classic Dig Dug legally on your Steam. For whatever reason, they're nearly a gigabyte a piece. Like the arcade port of Dig Dug and Galaga and Pac-Man are just below 1 gigabyte, according to the comments. They're like, why would you make an 800K ROM a gigabyte? You done goofed, Namco. Personally, I think it's clear. I think it's because you need that much hard drive space in order to run Denuvo. But, yeah, whatever. Anti-piracy for something that has been pirated for more than a decade. Nearly 2 decades. Probably more than 2 decades. Nonetheless, I don't know. I might pick it up anyway. just get it so I have it on the legal side on my Steam. I don't think my Steam has a way to play classic Pac-Man yet. Also, when I was in Disney World, I went to Disney Quest with my son. Disney Quest, which is now gone, used to be a very large arcade with 5 floors on it. And something they did a really good job on. They initially conceptualized it as a virtual Disney experience that they could put in cities that didn't have access to a major Disney park. They were going to put one in Philadelphia, they were going to put one in Detroit, places like that. Places really far away from Disney World or Disneyland. But it never happened. They just ended up sticking with the one in Florida, and it just kind of became the video arcade of Disney World. Well, it finally closed down last year, but I got to go there with my son a couple of times, and we played this sort of tabletop Pac-Man game, this like tabletop multiplayer Pac-Man game, and I thought it was pretty cool, and my son really dug it. He thought it was really cool. I believe that game exists inside of the Pac-Man Museum, so I might pick that up for $5 over the weekend. But that's the Bandai Namco sale. I enjoy Steam. I might check out some of those and get some Steam rentals. Let's talk about the 2 things that have happened this week I've been trying to make happen. Number 1, Famiclone. Thank you, Hemrock. Hemrock sent me a Famiclone, which is just the awesomest thing in the world. I'm so happy. It's a humble little red machine. Clone systems tend to be pretty ugly, and this one looks like they were trying to copy a PS1. You know, the PS1 was kind of like wide set sort of thing, and it had kind of a manhole lid to it that would raise up and fall. It looks like the original design was like that, and then the manhole lid covered a top-loading cartridge slot. But in this case, that lid is ripped off, so it's just like a great big red rectangle with a top-loading cartridge slot on it. Very humble machine. But I got it wiped down, and I got it plugged in. He sent me 4 controllers, and 2 of them work. But it plays the games, and I love it. I love it. It's still a clone system, but it's a huge step up from the Famiclone that I had years ago that I sent to Sendu. Hang on a second. The big thing with that old machine was that the A and B buttons were reversed. So it felt very unnatural. And that actually turned me off to import games for a while, because I thought that the Famicom controller was just that way. So I've gone on and on about Famicom a lot over the last 4 or 5 episodes, so I don't want to talk about that too much. I played it. I love it. It's currently sitting on top of my NES, because the NES front loader and then the Famiclone's a top loader, so I kind of have them together as a pair, one on top of another. I played, of the games that I picked up, I'm surprised how much of it is playable and how much of it is English. First game I tried was Urban Champion, which is exactly the same ROM, top to bottom. Then I played Spartan X, which we know as Kung Fu in the United States. Apart from the title screen, that also seems to be the same ROM, including the little story scenes where it's like, oh no, save your girlfriend from Mr. X. But that was fun. I don't have that on the NES. Spartan X was cheaper than it was to get an American version of Kung Fu, which is pretty cool. I was really excited to play Pachinko. I couldn't tell you the names of the Pachinko games I got, but I got 3 of them, and I'm pretty sure those are the 3 that are available on the NES. There might be more. I don't know. One's Pachikun, I believe, and then there's some other series of Pachinko game, number 2 and 3. So I guess logically there would be one missing. I don't know. Really sweet. I'm going to have to get back to you on those titles, but one of them is like you play as a pachinko ball in like an RPG kind of setting, and you walk into a pachinko parlor and you can walk up to different pachinko machines and play them. And it's really good, man. I'm digging it, especially as like a standby in the system. Pachinko, I think, is a fun one to just have open and just click around while things are going on in the room. I talked about playing I wanted to play jazz records and play pachinko, and I got to do that, man. Threw on a John Coltrane record, and I'm just playing away, man. It's good. It's a good time. Let's see. What I haven't seen yet is any game that came across on both sides that has major differences. I've not come across that yet. I played Dr. Mario, and I was under the impression that one of the viruses was a different color in Japan. I don't know why I thought that. But Dr. Mario also appears to be the same ROM. I only get to play this thing for about an hour, so some of these games might have subtle differences that I haven't noticed yet. But I think the games that I've noticed when it comes to price points, the games that are the same with a famous difference tend to be more. Okay, here's an example. Bayou Billy in the United States. Famously made more difficult to compensate for the American game rental market. All right, at that time you could go to Blockbuster or Errol's and rent a video game for the weekend. So they had to make the games harder so that you couldn't beat them in a single weekend. So Bayou Billy they made really hard in America to compensate for that, and consequently we were left with like a broken, really overly difficult game. Well, in Japan the game is called Mad City, and it's a little bit more playable. And that's kind of a known fact among people who've played this game. So consequently, that game is a little more expensive. Not prohibitively so, but you're going to drop like $10, $11, $12 on it. It's a lot for Bayou Billy. I might still get it anyway, though, because I liked that game as a kid. It'd be nice to play a playable version of it. But yeah, man, I'm digging it. I'm liking having physical games be a part of my lexicon again, because they weren't for like a long time. So that's the Famicom. I think I'm probably going to be done talking about the Famicom on the podcast for the most part, because I want to go into videos. I'm experiencing some pretty interesting glitches trying to get the games to work, and I've been trying to record those, and hopefully I'll make a Famiclone glitch video. Those are kind of fun. I'm just like my system wigging out when I try and play Urban Champion and stuff like that. So that's the Famiclone. That has happened. So many thanks to Hamrock. If I could gush for a minute, it's the middle of September. This is the hardest month of the year for me. Work just goes absolutely bananas. And on top of that, my son's going back to school. So it's an exciting time for him and a busy time for us. And fall is my favorite time of year. So don't get me wrong. I'm having a good time. But I'm also just really busy and just making sure that I hang on and do what I have to do. So this package was just like an awesome thing. I really appreciate it, Hamrock. It really is helping out a lot. In addition to the Famiclone stuff, there was some PS2 games in there that just came disc only, so thanks for that. One of them was Ark the Lad for the PS2. I can't remember what they all were because I really focused on the Famicom. That was something I wanted for a long time, but Ark the Lad has an interesting story for me. Okay, I'm going to try and do the condensed version of this so that I can get to my second point, which is Doom related. When I was younger, when the PS1 was still the reigning system, all right, we would go to GameStop, my friend and I. And at that point, there was still like big box PC games, wall to wall in GameStop. And then there was like a shelf where they displayed the prominent PS1 games. My friend had a PS1, and he kind of focused on that. I had one, but it was really my brother's system. I bought a few PS1 games, but I primarily went for big box. He primarily went for PS1 games. During that time, he bought a lot of the classics. He pre-ordered and obtained a copy of Suikoden 2 when that was new. I mean, that's like the one game he had that I knew was like a holy grail. He's got a few, but that's the one I know about. What else did we get back then? It was a big ordeal getting a hold of a copy of Star Ocean 2. I walked back and forth to the mall like a bunch of times with my friend trying to get a hold of a copy of that game. I bought RPG Maker for the PS1 when it came out. It was a fun time. All right. So Working Designs, right? At that time, somewhere along the line, Working Designs put out the Lunar games, and they had these big boxes and stuff. And my friend got Lunar, the first one. Well, he got them both, but I remember clearly when he got the first one. And it had that like cloth mapping and stuff. It was really robust packaging. You know, all the things that people remember Working Designs fondly for. And then somewhere along the line, we were down there, and I don't remember what we got that day, but I got to see Ark the Lad Collection for the PS1. I believe it was a Working Designs game. Now, you guys who are fans of them, maybe you can check me on that. But he picked it up and showed it to me and was like, hey, I really wanted to try these. And they were packaged and presented as if they were already established games, but I had never heard of them before. It was really cool. It was really cool to see. But he didn't buy it. We were there for something else, and I think that game was more than he had the money for. And he put it back on the shelf, and it disappeared. I mean, it didn't stay for sale for long. The next time we went, they were gone, and I never saw them again. Since then, they've only existed on the internet and in other people's YouTube videos. That's my experience with Ark the Lad. So this box had a PS2 game in it from that series, which is like really sweet. I don't know. It's a nice little trip. So yeah, thanks for that. I'm going to make some videos about it, but I did open the box up and get things going. I did that for a couple of reasons. Primarily because I couldn't wait, but also packages, you got to really handle them with care. You know, that's an easy way to accidentally dox somebody. Is by mishandling packages in YouTube videos. So I just went ahead and opened it and made sure I didn't read, oh, hey, CF, here's some stuff for you. And by the way, here's my home address and social security number. You know what I mean? Got to protect. So that's cool. So hopefully we'll get some videos about that. And that opens me up to buying Famiclone games again, which is something I stopped doing because of my disappointment. It's exciting. It's an exciting time. Anyway, so that's that. Let's put that aside and move on. The other thing that happened is I've started work officially on a Doom 2 WAD. Right? It's something I've been talking about for a while. It's something Sean brought up pretty recently. Actually, I don't know how recently. He said it recently, but I think he said it before that too. Yeah, so here's the deal. Let's turn back the clock to when Tiger Claw Radio used to do Doom nights back in the day. Sender used to head them up. He would organize them. We would come, and we'd play Skull Tag. Skull Tag Invasion. Now, the thing about Invasion, there was two primary things about Invasion that made it fun. Number one, the scale of monsters. There were millions of monsters on the screen at any given time. I think it was actually probably like 300, 400, 500 monsters, but a lot more than you would see in any like normal Doom campaign kind of game. That was number one, and number two, there was a lot of custom monsters, which was really cool. You'd have like a Baron of Hell, but his feet would be on fire and he'd be like redder. You'd have these jet gray palette swap silvery imps that kind of work different. They would shoot different kind of bullets. Fun stuff like that, right? And then you had the Keiko Demon. There was now like 4 or 5 different variations in different colors that all behave differently. It was cool, man. You had two chain guns. Remember that? So in Doom, you play at number 4, right, on the keyboard. That brings out the chain gun. But there was also like a minigun, which would fire faster, but had a spin down time. So you press 4 again, and then you switch to that. It was cool. Doom had been expanded, right? So here's what I found out. There is a website, and I don't know what it is off the top of my head. You'll have to Google it. All of that stuff is available to download individually and just kind of sub into your your WAD file. So you've got like a database of hundreds of palette swapped monsters, and you can just sub them in, which is pretty cool. So that is actually a lot easier than I thought it would be. I now have 2 maps in progress. I have figured out how to make it so that you've got map 1, and then you beat that first map, and then it goes into the second map. So I can now create, and technically I can create like a whole episode, which is pretty sweet. That's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to make a single map. I wanted to make a chain of maps. That was always my big problem with Shadow Warrior. I used to make levels of Shadow Warrior many years ago, something I talk about a lot. Had a lot of fun doing it. The Shadow Warrior level editor is very powerful. You can do a lot more stuff, a lot more than you can do in Doom. But the problem was, I only ever figured out how to make a level. I never figured out how to make a level and then make it so that when you finish the level, you then go into the next level. I don't know if that's possible in Shadow Warrior. But in my opinion, it's an important part of the custom level experience. It really is. I don't want to just play a level. I want to play a level, then I want to play level 2, then I want to play level 3. Right? I want to make it so that when you go into one of my levels, you still have the stuff over from the last level. Right? I think that's important. So now I got that figured out. You just create a bunch of levels, a bunch of different WAD files, and then once you've got all your levels together, then you can compile them into a single WAD. And then each one you do save as, or save, there's a save into option in Build 2. So that's cool. So we got Build 2, or Doom Builder 2, which I'm using to build everything. And then on top of that, you download a separate program where you can sub in some custom content. And not custom content, because you can do that in Doom Builder 2, but rather replacing specific assets. For example, changing the title screen, right? When I'm downloading Doom WADs, I always think it's cool when the title screen is different. It's like, oh, this is a WAD that has paid some attention to detail. They've made some changes. I don't know, I think it's a nice little touch. So I'm in the early stages. Right now I'm still just playing with vanilla options. I haven't added any custom content you wouldn't find in the initial Doom 2. But I have started crafting levels, and it's been fun. Will they be good? Probably not. But I'm enjoying them. I'm enjoying making them. I'm enjoying having fun with Doom 2 again. And that's about it. I had some... I tried a couple times previously to record this bit, but I kept getting caught in this whole story about PewDiePie dropping the N-word. And I was like, I don't know who to be upset at. And just, I don't know. That seems to be the clickbait of the hour. And yeah, so that's about it. And now I'm driving to work. It's Friday morning, and I don't have any Vancast to lean on. So I want to make sure TCR gets out. So tonight, I will be finishing TCR. We'll go back to Panzer Studios where it's nice and comfortable. We'll do the fail bag. Then after the fail bag, we will, I don't know what I'll play. I won't be able to play my Famicom because my wife will be studying in that room. But I'll probably play some Trouble in Terrorist Town or work on my Doom 2 WAD, which doesn't have any, title yet or anything like that. I played a little Master Levels of Doom recently. The Master Levels of Doom was like a commercial add-on that ID released back in the day. That's available on Steam, but you can't buy it directly. You have to buy it in like the Doom Classic pack. So I feel kind of lucky that I have that. It's not very good. The levels are kind of simplistic, but what's weird is that when you download it, it contains the raw WAD files, right? They just are dumped in a directory locally, so you can manipulate them. That way you can play them in like source ports and stuff. But there's certain ones that just don't seem to work. Like certain levels, I load them up in ZDoom, or not ZDoom, but GZDoom, which sounds funny to say it out loud. And they just don't load. I load them up and it just dumps me into vanilla Doom 2. I don't know, it's weird. It's weird, but I don't think the levels are interesting enough to really merit going through a lot of trouble trying to get them to work. I'm just going to play the ones that do work, and then that'll be that. So that's pretty awesome. Let's see. So Famicom is great. Doom 2 is great. Sean, I'm pretty sure that if you open up a content editor, not a level editor, but a content editor for Doom 2, of which there are many, you can see the individual frames of the monsters, and you can just replace them with other artwork, and you can create simple monster add-ons that way, right? because I know you're interested in doing that sort of content rather than mapping per se. And then also the behavior that governs what the monsters do is basically just one function, right? A function being maybe 20, 30 lines of code, which reads almost like a setup file, right? That's like it's the basis of object-oriented programming. Rather than programming a monster, right? You program a man, right? So that you can reuse that code over and over again. So you can, I'm pretty sure the block is just editable. So you could raise and lower health, that sort of thing. You know, make easy changes if you wanted. I think you and I should have, if there's any chance of us really doing any Doom 2 editing together, Sean, I think you and I should have like a hackathon. We should have a few hours where we go and get tools, because I know you don't have Doom Builder set up. I know, you know, I don't even know if you have Doom installed. But we should have a hackathon, the two of us. I'll show you what I've learned. I'll show you the maps that I've made so far. They're pretty simple, but they work. Yeah, they work. And then hopefully we can show you where the files are for how to edit monsters, right? Because I know you're like a graphics design guy. That was what you majored in, so that would be cool to build. To like, I think we would make a good combination that way. I'm into mapping, and you could do some monsters and stuff, and then we'd hit the bricks with some original content. There is a site, like I said earlier, where I can download a bunch of custom monsters, and that's pretty cool. But I think having new stuff, however simplistic or whatever, I think would make any WOD that we would work on together a bit more appealing to download. Something that, you know, is worth your time more, rather than just, hey, I went and downloaded a WOD maker, I went and downloaded some custom WODs, and now when you play Doom 2 Vanilla on hard, crazy monsters show up. Although that does seem like kind of a neat way to test out. Yeah, anyway, so that's it for the Vancast. I'm excited for the weekend. It's going to be a good weekend. It is. Let's go back to Panzer Studios, where it's nice and comfortable. I will see you guys there. Back here comfy in Panzer Studios. Let's listen to a track from Animal Styles Trench Vent. This track is called Cybo Shellfish. Cybo Shellfish. It's another release off of 8-Bit Peoples. Head over to 8bitpeoples.org, I think, and get yourself a copy of the album for free. You're listening to Tiger Claw Radio, episode 201. We done? Good. Yeah, we're back in. What's going on, guys? You're listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Wait. Let me see. Hold on. Let me see if we got some static. No, we're good. I was afraid that I was recording in a big pool of static. Sometimes that happens, and I have no idea. All right, guys, it's time for the fail bag. This is the time where I interact with the few of you out there who listen, and this is really where we get to enjoy the benefit of being a small program. It's just you here. It's just me here. So you can head over to thenextround.net and leave a comment, or you can, if you're listening on YouTube, which I think most people do, you can leave a comment in the YouTube section. That's where most comments come in. I also maintain a traditional email address at it's tigerclawradio@yahoo.com, which I check now every week without missing since I have Thunderbird Mail. It's set up alongside my personal email address. Also, you guys who know me personally, feel free to just write my personal email address. Just do me a favor. Put something in the comments that says it's for the fail bag. Or not the comments, but the subject line. That way it's easier for me to distinguish who's supposed to, what's supposed to be read on the air and what isn't. Also, before we jump in, my apologies to Michael Smith. We had been making arrangements to record for the Monster Cast, which, we're in autumn now and it didn't make it out, so I'm still working on that. I completely forgot about the time zone, dude. The time zone difference. Yeah, I was like, 9 p.m., where are you? And it's like, that's 2 a.m. for me or something. So my apologies, man. We'll get that sorted out, hopefully, and we'll get something recorded. So let's head over to... there's a comment on the next round from Death Adder, and I think it might be one of the simulpost things he does to make sure I don't miss. And he writes, congrats on 200 episodes. That's a big milestone. For episode 1000, when I'm a billionaire, I'll donate a fully functioning coffee fountain made out of Famiclones in the shape of the Quake logo to the show. You mentioned Resident Evil. What are some of your favorite spooky games? I've played enough Silent Hill 1 through 3, and... I played through Silent Hill 1 through 3, and I love those. But in Resident Evil, I'd always run out of ammo or have some crippling anxiety thanks to Nemesis. F-word Nemesis. I just can't even... Death Adder, my man. It's funny you say that because I had the opposite effect in Silent Hill. I played Silent Hill 1 and I ran out of ammo at one point. It was like a boss fight and I didn't have enough ammo to get through it. And I watched my older brother play because he's better at games than me. And this was, many years ago. This is before Let's Plays. So that was my Let's Plays. I was watching my older brother play. Something I would do at just about any given opportunity. And he got a lot further than me in the original Silent Hill. But he also got stuck on a boss fight and ran out of ammo. So that's kind of the way I remember that game. I know it's beatable. I've heard of people doing it. I just didn't do it myself. Great game, though. Silent Hill 2, I have for the PlayStation 2. But I just never, I never finished it. I couldn't play it for long periods of time. The tension was just too much for me. It's a good game, though. Drinking Coke right into the microphone is always a good plan. As for spooky games, I know you ran out of ammo in Resident Evil, but that game was just so hugely influential to me, man. My buddy NG got a copy of that game when it came out. And I saw it in 1996, 98, the 90s, when it first came out. I saw it, and I was very young and very impressionable. And that scene where the zombie looks over his shoulder for the very first time in that skinny hallway, that was a big moment in games, man, for me, personally. That was when I stayed wide awake with my tucked under the blanket, waiting for zombies to come in the room. Good times. As for, I would probably put that up there as favorite scary game. Favorite scary game. There were some classics on the PC, but I don't think I played those until later in life. Alone in the Dark. Harvester is an amazing game for other reasons. It's campy and fun, but it's just so good. Oh my gosh, play Harvester. I know you have, but the other people listening, play Harvester. It's so fun. It's such a fun and charming game. It really is. I sat down with D, also called D's Diner, I guess. That's out on Steam. I got that, and I sat down with it for an hour or so, and I liked it. I did not play it through, and I will at some point, but I liked it more than I thought I would. It was a neat little program. Those are just a few scary games off the top of my head. Some games with the spooks. I don't know if this counts as scary, but I also liked Killing Floor. Killing Floor was more. It was more of an action game, not a scary game, but it had scary themes. It used scary. Yeah, I would say scary themes. I don't know. I guess that game doesn't really count. All right, let's head over to YouTube because I saw some good comments over there over the course of the week that I really wanted to answer. So let's see. Just bear with me. This is quiet time, guys. This is quiet time. MenuWorks. I still can't believe the developer of MenuWorks. I know I probably said this on the air, but it still just wows me. When I was little, before we had Windows 3.1, this was in the late 80s, in 1989. Some of my earliest computer memories. My dad ran a program called MenuWorks, and I have a video of it up on my YouTube channel. And I was just like, hey, this is this old program, and let's just take a look. And of all people, the developer of freaking MenuWorks left a comment. Such a hugely important thing to me. He writes, "Oh wow, I'm the author of MenuWorks. 30 years ago was quite a blast from the past when I came upon this video. This was my first product when I founded PC Dynamics." Reading that comment was a huge moment for me that I have a hard time communicating to other people. I wish my dad was alive to see that. I'm kind of glad he didn't have to bear what happened when Twitter kind of came into the world, but this is the first thing in the internet in the last 10 years that I was like, I wish he was around to see that. I think he would have got a kick out of that. Oh boy, nothing quite like an ice cold Coke on Friday evening, wrapping up TCR before I head out to play some video games. I'm also very tired, so I'm clicking around very slowly. I had some comments from Sendu, I think, was doing the backlog, because he commented on some old podcasts that have been like a few weeks now. Yeah. Give me a second here. This was episode 194. Not that old. It's oh boy, it's taking its time loading. Jeez Louise. Yeah, 2 days ago, he writes, "The only old videos I've taken down were those with copyright music in them. Not that haven't been tempted to remove some others. I probably never will." I can't remember what we talked about in the podcast that you're replying to, but I do remember that. I do remember at one point urging people to keep up their old things. So that's good, man. I would be interested in going back and seeing some of your old videos. Some that you did. I think you did an unboxing of the Doom shareware discs, right? When those got sent your way. What else happened? I remember the It's Game Time video. I just thought it was really funny for some reason. I know you didn't like it that I was using a still shot from that video for a very long time, but it was just a moment that really made me laugh. And I know, of course, you did the Power Rangers Where Are They Now videos that went through DMCA and copyright issues. Those, if there's any place to view the originals, that would be a good reason for you to open a VidMe channel, dude, is to preserve those original videos, because those were really something to see. I think the VidMe people would really get a kick out of that. Let's see. What else? And then we go back to episode 200. Oh, wait. He also writes on another episode, "I do still have that Famiclone. I played it a few times. It's Yeah, I know, dude. The built-in games are garbage, and the buttons are reversed on the controller. That's the big thing, is the buttons. That's the hard part. If the controller at least had the buttons in the right order, then you could order games cheaply and play, and have a decent time. But that controller really does it. The built-in games, I mean, they are garbage, but let's face it, that was never the reason I got a hold of that thing. I wanted to play the cartridges that I had, and I had a hard time doing it. And there are a couple of comments on my return to Morrowind. I released a video yesterday, or no, it wasn't yesterday. It was early this morning before I went to work. I published a video of a Morrowind Let's Play. Not a weekly, not a return to the weekly format, but I did like a 30-minute Morrowind jam that I edited down a little bit to make it watchable. So that's cool. Swingle posted, "A return to Morrowind demands a return to relevant memes first." And then Sendu writes, "As teased on TCR." That's cool, man. That felt good to see a couple of comments on a Morrowind video, because those were the worst of the worst in terms of my videos. Holy crap. Yeah, they were really bad. I think they were rightfully so towards the end. But that was fun making that one anyway. Just more bumming around in Balmora. All right, we got a bunch of comments now. We've wandered into Tiger Claw Radio episode 200 over on YouTube. This is where the comments are. See at the bottom, we've got Death Adder's multicast comment. We read that already. Then we got a bunch from Dumaze. Dumaze, who I recently added to my friends list on Steam, but I have not had the chance to go head-to-head in any shmup games with this guy yet. Not since Raiden 3, which he still... I haven't forgotten, Dumaze. You still have the crown in Raiden 3. That's not going to remain uncontested forever. Let me just say that. Oh man. So the way he likes to do it is he leaves a bunch of small comments rather than a big long running comment. And he writes, "I discovered Always Sunny 2. It is awesome. How come I never heard of it before now?" Well, man, I remember watching... All right, Dumaze, let me take you back. This was in 2000 and I want to say 2005. All right? I didn't have cable television. I don't even think I had the internet. I had a very old computer that a friend gave me. I lived in an apartment with my wife. We had lawn chairs. We had these 2 lawn chairs that were sat in front of a 17-inch? I believe it was a 17-inch CRT, a little tube TV, a little tiny one. So we sat on these lawn chairs watching this tube TV that was connected to an antenna, receiving, broadcast network television. So we didn't watch a lot of TV, live TV, but we did watch at that time. NBC had its lineup, its Thursday night lineup was something they were really pushing. So that was when The Office premiered. The Office premiered, and there was also a show called My Name is Earl that we loved. That was with Jason Lee, where Jason Lee was playing like a hillbilly who was trying to atone for stuff. And it would start with My Name is Earl, and then eventually there was this waffly spot after My Name is Earl. Then they had, I think it was The Office and then 30 Rock, or 30 Rock and then The Office. My Name is Earl, this waffly spot, 30 Rock, The Office. Not necessarily in that order. And in the waffly spot, there was like a bunch of different shows that they would try for a season that didn't really stick around. There was one show with Jeffrey Tambor and John Lithgow where I can't remember what the name of the show was, but it was just basically old guys wanting to go have fun in their last 20 years. And it only lasted 2 episodes, and it was really kind of like... I knew it wasn't going to last, but I at the same time really enjoyed it. There was that. Andy Richter had a TV show where he played like a private detective or something really strange. And during that time, when we were watching this network television, there was commercials for Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which was premiering for the very first time at that time. Now, the weird thing was, that was a cable show. So we saw these TV commercials for a cable show on network television. It didn't really add up, but I didn't think much of it. So I had known about it since then, but this was the first time I sat down and watched it. And we've blazed through probably 2.5 seasons in like a week, maybe 2 weeks. It's a good show. It's really good. I like it. But that's that. As far as how come you haven't heard of it, I couldn't tell you. I don't even know how to find out about what's going on TV these days. The last thing I heard about with TV was the Star Trek pilot. There's going to be a new Star Trek TV show. But I found out about it. I think it might have even been Vintage Video Game Geek who told me about it. But everything I read about it, read that they were working the gay angle really, really hard. And it's like, I don't want to watch a gay show. I don't want to watch a show about gays in space. I don't mind watching a show about space that happens to have gays on it. That's just fine. But they were really working this political angle. And it's like, I don't know. I'll probably still watch the trailer anyway. Give them a fair shot. See what they, it's just to see. I want to see, right? You got me. Star Trek, I'll look. The television is so fragmented now. I don't know, whatever. A lot of tangents from that one little comment, but yeah, it's a good show. So let's see what else Dumas has to say. He writes, I hooked up my GameCube Game Boy player with my EverDrive GBA. Very awesome. And with the Goomba GBA emulator, it also plays all the GB and GBC games too. Gotta say, man, pretty jealous. I don't even have a GameCube. I actually, 10 years ago, I walked down to the GameStop where I knew they had GameCubes. I thought they had GameCubes for like $20, $25 in these brown nondescript cardboard boxes. Well, I went down to buy one. They didn't have one. It's the only time I've ever gone out of my way to get a GameCube. So I don't have one of those GBA players you're talking about, and I've kind of wanted one for a while. But I don't know. GBA is awesome. GBA is an amazing system. There's amazing games on it that are still like affordable price point. It's got some really good stuff, dude. It really does. All right, let's see what else he has. He writes, I just picked up Steam shmup Caldera Blaze, and I heard word it comes from the fellas who brought us Raiden, and it's bullet hell, and so far it's pretty much the prettiest shmup I've ever played. All right, man. You're talking my language. I'm heading over to the Steam right now. I'm gonna take a look at this rental license that you're talking about. Pasted right in from your comment, and it's not yielding anything. Caldera Blaze. I copied it right at. Maybe you spelled it wrong. Maybe you spelled it wrong, you dope. Blaze Rush. Caldreus Blaze? It almost looks like oh, it's a booby game. The prettiest shmup. Oh man. Dumas. Oh gosh. Alright, so let's take a look. This is $24.99, which is not the most I've ever spent on a shmup on Steam. That prize goes to shoot, it escapes me now because I'm so tired. The one where the bosses turn into like French maids and stuff. Dodonpachi, yes. But I never regretted spending the money on Dodonpachi. I thought that was a great buy. Let's take a look-see here. I'm only seeing the menus. It is pretty good looking. Pretty good looking. Strictly speaking about the ships, the backgrounds, and the bullets. I'll tell you what. I will add this to my wish list. That's hilarious, dude. Let's look at the user-defined tags. Anime, bullet hell, shoot 'em up, sexual content, nudity, action. That's hilarious, dude. What my curators say. Nico Otaku Club writes, an epic, over-the-top shoot 'em up with challenging gameplay, great soundtrack, it even has its own story campaign. But even better, you can destroy your enemy's clothing like Senran Kagu... Oh, jeez, I'm so sorry. Send reg. I give up. That's it. That's what they say. Is that it? I'm surprised Waifu Hunter hasn't reviewed this yet. Two of my friends want this game, whose names I'll leave. I'll leave anonymous. But yeah, two friends already own it as well. Retro Kaiser and Dumaze. Retro Kaiser, that makes me laugh. I think this was definitely something that was on Death Adder's show. By the way, keep those weekly episodes coming, man. That is amazing you're doing weekly shows. Head over to thenextround.net. Check out the Death Adder Super Show. All right, it's top shelf podcasting for the weekly stuff. The fact that Death Adder and I are both going head to head every week in the realm of podcasting, right now I feel like that is making the next round like a hot joint to go check out. Like, I really think you guys should check out the next round at this point, if you haven't, my dear friends, if I may be so bold. I'll tell you what, I joke about this game, but it compares it to Gundali. Oh, jeez, I can't pronounce this one either. Gun Dead Legion, but it's all one word. I've been calling it Gundaleon, but I know that's not at all how you pronounce it. It's like a little shmup, a little tiny shmup that they've sold on Steam for a good long time. But that one is $3.99 regular price, so much smaller price point. But I've liked that game. I play that game a lot. If you look at my video of MagFest last year, and I was joking about how I was playing Steam games in the room, that's the game we were playing. Good game. Oh boy. All right, Dumaze, let's go back and read the rest of your comments. He writes, Solstice, more like Suxtice. Really? You don't like Solstice? Come on, dude. You gotta understand. All right, look. Let me explain. How can I explain? Jeez. Because he's not wrong, really. You're not really wrong if that's what you think about Solstice. All I can say is, Solstice is a game that feels a lot like these broken MS-DOS games from the late 80s, okay? Alright, so once upon a time, when I can't remember how old I was, but I was young, my dad had a computer, an IBM computer, commonly referred to as a luggable, which was a suitcase that weighed like probably 50 pounds or more. And you would lay this mammoth beast on its side, and the bottom would fold out like a keyboard, right? Now, the monitor in it, which was it was built inside of the suitcase, was a monochrome monitor, green and black, and that was it. It would glow green. So he had one of these, and I loved it, but it was kind of my dad's, so I got to use it a little bit. But my mom didn't really like me inheriting it. I inherited a lot of my dad's old hardware that he kind of abandoned in the basement. He had computers he would just like shove in the basement. And that's how I got a hold of my first DOS machines. My brothers and I would play with them. Well, we got a hold of this luggable. And later I got one of my own. One of my friend's parents discarded one that had an orange screen. But we would play, we would sit, and we didn't have access to any bulletin board systems, BBSs. We didn't have any sort of, there's no live feed from the outside world. We would have to play the games on the diskettes that my dad had amassed. And a lot of them, the best ones played like Solstice. Yeah? So you had to, it was up to you to explore. That's what I like about Solstice. It's up to you to go into the rooms. I mean, you commonly hear people, old guys, complain about games that are out now saying, oh, well, they hold your hand. And this is what I'm talking about. This is a game that there's no explanation. There's just you. There's the maze. Now, you got a couple of options. You can throw your hands up and say, hey, I need more of an explanation than this. Or you can go out and die a lot and figure it out. All right? So neither one of those are the wrong answer, per se. But there's something about that appeals to me. It has an aesthetic of old computing games. Not exactly like old computer games, but a little bit. At least it strikes that chord in me personally. So that's Solstice. I didn't play it much, but I played it a little bit, and I liked it, and I'm glad I own it. My copy still has a sticker on it from the place I got it. It was $1.99, so, I dig it. I would say I own worse games, especially now that I own a Famicom. Famiclone with a box of Famicom games. I've got Mahjong, which... Mahjong for the Famicom I thought was going to be Mahjong Solitaire, which I like, and I enjoy Mahjong Solitaire very much. Got a bunch of those games on Steam, actually. That's not what it was. It was like a competitive Mahjong game, and I don't know how to play that, so it's pretty much unplayable for me. So let's go to Dumay's final comment. He writes, a hot tip for you. Play Fester's Quest with a rapid-fire controller. It is awesome like that. I don't know if I own Fester's Quest. Is it really good with a rapid-fire controller? I'll tell you what, Dumays. I don't have a rapid-fire controller, but what I do have is the 4-player multi-tap for the NES. Now, that had 2 buttons on it, where if, for A and B, that would toggle, right? And if you pressed them in, it would turn your regular controller into rapid-fire. And I always thought that was awesome, because that enabled me to enjoy rapid-fire cheating without having to deal with third-party controllers. There were a lot of third-party controllers for the Nintendo that would provide the rapid fire, but a lot of them felt really bad. Even as a kid, I was like, oh, I don't really want to play with this. Come on, this sucks. Come on, the Max, the NES Max. Unless you were playing with the Advantage, and the Advantage only plays well with certain specific games. All right, well that's that, and that's the last comment from Dumays. Then we get to my boy Saga, who writes, "Grats on 200, friendo." Thanks, man. I'm glad you took the time out to comment on my 200th episode. Feels more like a milestone. Let's take a look at back at. Wow, we made it. We did an hour and 3 minutes. I thought this was going to be a really small show. So look, wherever you're at in your life that made you, that brought you here, 1 hour and 4 minutes and 4 seconds into Tiger Claw Radio episode 201. Thank you for hanging out. I appreciate it. Time is the greatest currency you just made. A thoroughly appreciated donation. So I want to give you a little well wishes. This is the time I set aside to say, keep fighting, man. Keep getting out of bed. Especially when things feel like they're never getting better. Especially now. Keep fighting.